We are the group 3 with me, Leonito Monto, with my members. So today, we'll be discussing about bar graph. We will start with what is bar graph definition by Reggie Ruedas. A bar graph may be either horizontal or vertical. The important point to note about bar graph is their bar length or height. The greater their length or height, the greater their value.
Three types of bar graph. There are this shows horizontal graphs. The horizontal dot graphs. A dot graph is one of the simplest.
So next, we will talk about the history of bar graph by yours truly, Leonito Monto.
Start. In this slide, this is the bar graph before. As you can see, it's different from now. The latitude of forms the flat velocity of a constantly accelerating object against time. Those of you who studied physics will know that Sir Isaac Newton is accredited with first writing down the laws of motion. However, it's interesting to note that some 300 years before Newton, someone else had graphs of velocity and acceleration. In 1765, Joseph Priestley published a timeline type graph upon which he plotted horizontal bars. Although not one of the more usual forms, it is still a bar-style chart. Moving on 20 years, and we finally get to William Flipper, who again utilized bar charts in his publication to show sports of Scotland. This is the first example of numerical data being split into discrete groups and plotted as bars, and hence the reason William is credited with the invention of the bar chart. Today, bar charts and graphs are easy for us to incorporate into all sorts of publication, both physical and digital. There is a variety of software available which enables almost anyone to create bar charts from a set of numbers. Below is a modern example where a 3D bar chart is used to compare profit loss for three products by quarter. Individual sales data is rolled up into discrete periods of time. In this case, quarters and the total figure plotted as the height of each bar. In this slide, this is the example of the modern bar graph. That's all. Thank you.
So next, we will give an example, problems and solution with Chris, Teresa, Gakasan, and Pep Teresa Declaro.
First problem. Month January, February, and March. Number of visitors January 150, February is 300, March is 250. Construct a vertical and a horizontal bar chart for the table.
So for the first problem, we were asked to construct a vertical and a horizontal graph. So first, I will show you what a vertical bar chart looks like. So here's what you can see. We chose a frequency of 150, which is located at the left side. And at the bottom, you can see here that from the table, January, there were 150 visitors. And for the month of February, it went up to 300 visitors. And from the month of March, it went down to 250. For the horizontal bar chart is what we can see here. The bars are already placed horizontally and the data given are placed on the left side of the chart and the frequency numbers are at the bottom.
Second problem. Directions for questions 1 to 5. Study the following graph carefully and answer the questions that follow the graph show the results of students in a school.
For the first question in the problem number 2 that was given, is the difference of number of students passed to those failed is minimum in which year? First, we use the bar chart to look at the given data for the number of students who passed and who failed for each school year. Black color bars represent the students who passed, while the white colored bars represent the students who failed. We have to subtract the number of students who passed and who failed for each school year to determine the difference and get the minimum number of students who passed and on what year. Here we have the given solution, and it shows that the difference is minimum for the year 1991 to 1992. For the second question, how many times number of failed students is the same? So, based on the chart that was given to us by visual observation, number of failed students is the same in 1991 to 1992, 1992 to 1993, 1994 to 1995, and 1995 to 1996. Therefore, answer is 4 times, which is letter D. So for the third question, what is an approximate percentage of students failed during the 5 years? So the answer would be letter B. Since we are looking for the percentage, we have to have the total number of passed students divided by the total number of failed students, which would equal to 27%. So the answer is letter B, 27. Question number 4 is, when is the percentage increase in the total number of students maximum in comparison to the previous year? First, we need to get the number of students for each year and then subtract it to the total students of the previous year. After that, we have to divide it to the total number of students of the previous year and then multiply it by 100. If you look at the solution given, you will see the total number of percentage for each school year, and it shows that 1992 to 1993 has a minimum number of percentage increase in comparison to the other years. So for the fifth question, what is an average number of students failed in the school in the last 5 years? So the answer would be letter D, which is 90. So first we would have to have the total number of failed students, which is 450, and then divide it to 5, so that would equal to 90.
To give the summary of what we have discussed, we have Tarlami Baguio.
To sum it all up, a bar chart is a graph or a chart that represents categorical data in rectangular bars with heights or lengths proportional to the values that they represent. The bars can be plotted vertically or horizontally. A vertical bar is sometimes called a column chart. In bar graph, it has 3 types, which is the horizontal bar, vertical bar, and the dot graph. So for the horizontal bar graph, it represents the data horizontally. It is a graph whose bars are drawn horizontally. Horizontal means a line that the tail is facing from left to right. For vertical bar graph, this represents the data vertically. It is a graph whose bars are drawn vertically. Vertically means a vertical line that is the tail that is from bottom to top. And lastly is a dot graph. A dot plot, also known as a strip plot or dot chart, is a simple form of data visualization that consists of data points plotted as dots on a graph with an X and a Y axis. We have also discussed about the history of bar graphs, which was William Playfair was the one who invented the bar graph. Bar graph was used in the 14th century publication by a Frenchman named Nicolas Orsman. They plot velocity of a constantly accelerating object called the latitude of forms. In 1765, Joseph Priestley published a time graph upon which he plotted horizontal bars. Although not one of the more usual forms, it is Still a bar style chart. After 20 years, and they finally get to William Playfair, who again utilized bar charts in his publication to show imports or exports of Scotland. For our reference and resources, for the definition, we used the sites statisticscanada.com and onlinemathlearning.com. For the history of the topic, we use jpowered.com, and for the example problem and the solution, we found it at hitbulleye.com. So that's it for our presentation of the group 3. Thank you.